Lumada. He will be starting soon. Oh, story time with Mr. Lumada, where all your dreams come true. Oh, he brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't leave lonely. Won't you start all the reading? I just can't wait to be hearing story time with Mr. Lumada. He will be starting soon. Oh, story time with Mr. Lumada, where all your dreams come true. Oh, he brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't leave lonely. Won't you start all the reading? I just can't wait to be hearing.
Good morning, and welcome to Story Time. Thank you so much for joining me. How are you doing today, wherever you are? Glad to be here, as always, back together on the Story Time couch for another amazing story. And remember, this week we're reading books from SCHIFFER Kids, and another one is in store. Thank you so much for joining in. Please, as always, let us know where you're joining in from and who is joining in with you. A wonderful, wonderful Wednesday. It promises to be out here. I hope it is that way for you too, and I hope it has been a good one if you're way far into your Wednesday today. Thank you so much for joining in. Glad you're here. And of course, coming to you from Oakland, where it has been pretty chilly, and it promises to be that again today. So if you're in the Oakland area, Bay Area, please be sure to dress warmly out there. Better to go overdressed and take off the layers than to be cold the day. Thank you so much for joining in, and welcome to Story Time. Thank you for being here. We do have a wonderful book today, and this one is called The Two Fridas. And yes, this is memories of Frida Khalo and illustrations by GIANLUCA FOLI. And yes, we get to celebrate one of Frida's most famous paintings. So we will be looking at that and reading a little bit more at the end as well. Find out what inspired this story or where this memory led to. Thank you so much for joining in, and welcome to Storytime. Such a pleasure to be here with you. And please remember that Right for a Reason is happening April 23rd. Excited about that one. Riding from Oakland to Sacramento. Fun ride always. And I'm glad to be back. And of course, this time with the support of the Storytime community. And it has been wonderful. We've raised over $5,500 and still getting those donations, still spreading that word. Thank you so much. And if you're nearby, maybe you might want to participate one day. Absolutely welcome to do that. Thank you for being here, and welcome to Storytime. And just apart from fundraising and everything, it is good exercise. It is good for the soul. It is good for the heart. Thank you for being here. Let us see who is with us this morning before we get started with our story. Thank you so much for joining in. And also must mention a big thank you to SCHIFFER Kids for allowing us to share amazing stories this week, and of course ones we've shared before from them. But today we're back and we're here. The Two Fridas coming right up very shortly, so get ready for that one. Good morning to you. How are you doing? Sarah, good morning to you. And of course, Nathan, out in soon-to-be stormy Illinois. Oh my goodness, you're having quite some weather this week out there in Illinois. Thank you so much for joining in. But I love the positivity. Happy Wednesday, you say to everybody here at Storytime. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate you, and happy Wednesday to you too. And hopefully, this is reading weather that you have out there. You're tucked in somewhere and enjoying some great books. Thank you for being here. Happy Wednesday, Storytime friends, from Sarah and Nathan. And of course, Amanda, Wes, good morning to you as well. Thank you so much for joining us from soon-to-be stormy Illinois. Thank you so much for being here. Good morning to you. Absolutely appreciate you. Indy, good morning to you as well. Thank you so much for joining in. Tanisha Champion, Benjamin, how are you doing? Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. I hope you're well. I hope you are good. Yes, absolutely miss you. Always good to hear from you and see you around here. Thank you so much for joining in on Storytime Live today. And of course, for always supporting, always sharing Storytime. Appreciate you for that. Coming from the heart. Thank you so much. Just thinking there that I went for my heart on this side. No, my heart is definitely on this side. Oh, thank you. There's a special heart just for Tanisha on the right-hand side. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. Appreciate you. Good morning to you. Marietta, how are you doing out in sunny Massachusetts? Hanging out in the studio, working on covers. Oh my goodness. Hope everyone is well. Well, thank you for checking in. Thank you for being here. We appreciate you. And thank you for letting us into your studio as well. Thank you. Good luck with all those covers that you're working on. And of course, excited. I know your book is in the works. Cannot wait. Cannot wait. Thank you so much for joining in on Storytime. Appreciate you. And Henry, when you're back or whenever you see this, good morning to you too. Hopefully you are doing well, buddy. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. Absolutely appreciate you. Good morning to you all the way out in Nakitash, Louisiana. Braylon, Chad, Auntie Ann, welcome back to Storytime Live. And of course, Auntie Pam, good to have you here on Storytime. And say, weird weather system last night, but here with you and delicious breakfast prepared by Auntie Ann. Oh my goodness. Breakfast by Auntie Ann. Breakfast at Auntie Ann's. Oh my goodness. I love it. Should be a place we'll be flocking there. Thank you so much for joining in. What are you having in that? What is that delicious breakfast that you are having? Thank you so much for being here. Let us see who does it better, Braylon or Auntie Ann? Good morning to you. I love that everybody's sharing, cooking breakfast, preparing breakfast on different days. I love it. Thank you so much for joining in, and glad you're here. And of course, to go with your breakfast, we have a good book right here, The Two Fridas. And this one comes from The Memories, written by Frida Khalo and illustrations by Gianluca FOLI. Get ready for this one. It is a good one indeed. Thank you so much for being here out in Nakitash, Louisiana. Thank you for joining us, Braylon, Chad, and of course, Auntie Ann and Auntie Pam. Good morning to you. Good morning to you. Out in Orange County, how are you doing today? April, good to see you here. And of course, Jemison, how are you doing? Thank you so much for joining in. When is your spring break, or have you had it already? We had our spring break last week. Thank you so much for joining in. Good to see you here. And of course, excited for another story. Thank you for joining us. All right, let's get ready, get comfortable, because our story is coming right up after this message. Join me on the other side and we enjoy together a great story. And of course, we get to share a little bit more about it afterwards. Thank you for being here on Storytime. All right, here we go.
Hi, my name is Zetta Elliott, and I am the author of 40 books for kids, including Dragons in a Bag and A Place Inside of Me. You're watching Storytime with Mr. LaMotta.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining in. The Two Fridas, and this one coming to you from SCHIFFER Kids, and it is Memories, written by Frida Khalo and illustrations by Gianluca FOLI. And it is also interesting to see how many books actually come up from writings from people as children, from their childhood, and also this one very special coming from Frida Khalo. Are you ready? All right, here we go. Big thank you to you, SCHIFFER Kids, for allowing us to read this one here on Storytime. And of course, illustrations by Gianluca FOLI. All right. And we'll get to read a little bit more about Frida Kahlo at the back. And of course, explaining this book a little bit more. So please do stick around. Right after the end of the story, we'll jump into that part as well. All right, here we go. The Two Fridas, Memories, written by Frida Kahlo, illustrations from Gianluca FOLI, and of course, reading it with permission and published by SCHIFFER Kids. I must have been 6 years old when I formed an intense imaginary friendship with a girl who was more or less my age. Any imaginary friends out there? I must have been 6 years old when I formed an intense imaginary friendship with a girl who was more or less my age. Standing at the window of what was then my room, which looked out onto Allende Street, I would fog up one of the bottom pens with my breath, and with a finger, I would draw a door. I hope your window has a good view too. Standing at the window of what was then my room, which looked out onto Allende Street, I would fog up one of the bottom pens with my breath. And with a finger, I would draw a door. Where does that door lead to? In my imagination, I would go through that door, and with great joy and urgency, I would cross the flatland stretched out before me until I reached a creamery called Pizzon. I want to go to a creamery right now. Just think, if you had to draw a door right now, where would that door lead to? Where would you go? In my imagination, I would go through that door, and with great joy and urgency, I would cross the flatland stretched out before me until I reached a creamery called Pizzon. I would dive in through the hole in Pizzon and tumble down to the inside of the earth, where my imaginary friend was always waiting for me. I would dive in through the hole in Pizzon and tumble down to the inside of the earth, where my imaginary friend was always waiting for me. That face. I love it. Happy. I don't remember what she looked like or what color she was, but I do know that she was happy. She laughed a lot without making a sound. She was nimble, and she danced as if we were weightless. I don't remember what she looked like or what color she was, but I do know that she was happy. She laughed a lot without making a sound. She was nimble, and she danced as if she were weightless. That does sound amazing, doesn't it? I would follow her every move, and while she danced, I would tell her my secret problems. What problems? I don't remember. But she knew all about them just from listening to my voice. I hope we all have somebody, a confidant that we can share with. Somebody we trust. I would follow her every move, and while she danced, I would tell her my secret problems. What problems? I don't remember. But she knew all about them just from listening to my voice. When I would finally go back to the window, I would come in through the same door I had drawn on the glass. When? How long had I been with her? I don't know. It could have been a second or thousands of years. When I would finally go back to the window, I would come in through the same door I had drawn on the glass. When or how long had I been with her? I don't know. It could have been a second or thousands of years, but I can't say. I was happy. I would wipe the door away with my hand and it would disappear. Oh, I love that. I was happy. And I hope you find things that make you happy. I would run with my secret and my joy to the furthest corner of the patio of my house, and always in the same place, under a lemon verbena tree, I would shout and laugh, amazed to be alone with my great happiness and fresh memories of the girl. Oh. What is your happy place? I would run with my secret and my joy to the furthest corner of the patio of my house, and always in the same place, under a lemon verbena tree, I would shout and laugh, amazed to be alone with my great happiness and fresh memories of the girl. Oh. It has been 34 years since I experienced that magical friendship, and every time I remember it, it is rekindled and grows more and more inside my world. Pizan, 1950, by Frida Khalo. And here's a little bit more about Frida Kahlo as promised, right? Frida is a very famous painter, possibly the most famous female painter in the world. Her paintings are unmistakable because her portrait appears in each one. This book reviews a fragment of her diary, a memory of her childhood, which she wrote on ivory-colored pages full of ideas, doodles, drawings, and little anecdotes from her life. In this book, it is Frida Kahlo's words rather than her paintings that are the focus. Her story invites us to travel to Mexico, her native country, to her neighborhood of Coyoacan, one of the most beautiful areas in Mexico City, and to her house, the Blue House, a mansion that looks like a piece of heaven, both inside and out. Frida was born there on July 6, 1907. There are lots of photos of her as a child with her older sisters, Matilda and Adriana, and her younger sister and playmate, Christina. Her father, Guillermo Kahlo, was a photographer of German descent. The girls loved posing in colorful and flamboyant regional costumes that were full of lace crocheted by her mother, Matilda Calderon. Frida's childhood, however, also had terrible moments. Shortly after starting school, she contracted a terrible illness that affected her right leg. From then on, she had difficulty walking, but that didn't stop her from playing soccer with Christina or from climbing trees. According to her diary, it was around the time of her illness that she discovered her imaginary friend. And this friend must have been very important because Frida never forgot her. She even dedicated a painting titled The Two Fridas to her in 1939. And famously, she said, "I paint flowers so they don't die." The most powerful art in life is to make pain a talisman that heals, a butterfly that is reborn, flourished in a festival of colors. Why did Frida almost always paint self-portraits? She explained why many times. As the result of a serious accident, Frida was bedridden for many days, months and years. She painted while she tucked in between the sheets, and she requested that a mirror be placed in front of her so that she could paint what she knew best, Frida. Her vocation as a painter grew along with her. Everything she did, thought about, or loved was reflected in her work. She married Diego Rivera, another Mexican painter. She loved her country and her culture, and she fought for her ideals, for the freedom of men and women, for justice, and also for the beauty of life. She was a revolutionary woman. But before that, way before that, she was a little girl who had a magical, joyful, and secret-filled friendship. The end. I hope you enjoyed that one. Thank you so much for joining in today. Absolutely appreciate each and every one of you. And that was our story for today, the two Fridas. Yes, indeed, memories from Frida Kahlo, and of course, the amazing imaginary friend that she had. A safe place, a place where she could share secrets, and of course, indeed, be comfortable. Thank you so much for joining in today. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you continue to build those memories, beautiful memories indeed. And I hope that you find your vocation too. And thank you so much for joining in. This has been Storytime, inspiring. And of course, we know what later on Frida Kahlo went to do. But of course, today we were enjoying a little bit of memories from her childhood. Thank you so much for joining me on Storytime today. I hope you enjoyed that wonderful story. It is a powerful one indeed. And I did enjoy this one. And of course, we see too that she went through hardships and so many things, but was there, determined, and I love the part that she drew what she knew best, and that was Frida. So of course you know yourself best, and I hope that you find those things that make you happy, and I hope that your dreams come true. Thank you so much for joining me on Storytime. But please don't forget to join us again tomorrow for more stories, and tomorrow we'll be looking at some portraits of some people who've changed the world. And this one is called the Head to Head. Yes, 18 link portraits of people who changed the world. We'll not be going into all 18 head-to-head portraits, but we'll be looking at some of them for sure and seeing how they changed the world. There's one, how were Mother Teresa and of course Angelina Jolie, how are they the same? How are they different? What is it that we're matching for them? So do join in and find out. And of course, there are many, many others as well in there. And you can see from the picture as well, space is probably that you recognize. So do join me for that one. And let's look at some people that inspired the world and indeed change the world. Thank you so much for joining in today on Storytime. I hope you enjoyed the two Fridas. I hope indeed your day is beautiful. I hope your day is a wonderful portrait, just like Frida's. Thank you so much for joining in today. And it's always a pleasure to be here. I do not take it for granted. Another breath, another day, and we're here together enjoying great company, great community. Thank you for being here. And of course, for allowing our little ones to join us here on Storytime. I wish you a wonderful day, and I hope that indeed it is full of laughs. And of course, if we hit bumps on the way, they're just that, bumps on the way, and we keep on forging ahead, keep on moving. Thank you so much for being here. Let us see one more time who was with us enjoying that wonderful story. Thank you for being here. Good morning to you. Good to see you back on Storytime. Clay, Rocco, and Chriselle. Thank you so much for being here. Good to see you. I'm glad you could join us today. I am glad you are here out in Long Beach, California. Thank you so much for joining us. Good morning to you. Good to see you. Are you on spring break? Good to see you. I'm glad you're here. I've absolutely missed you, and I'm glad you're here to join us today for the live reading. Thank you so much. Good morning to you. Can we listen to this story again? I love it. Absolutely. Absolutely. Maybe not quite right this minute, but definitely. It is one that will be coming back to Storytime. And of course, too, it will be live again at 11. And you can always find it in the Storytime archives as well. And find it where you find books. A beautiful story indeed. One full of imagination. And indeed, young ones, I know you're making all those wonderful memories. And one day we hope to read all about them and indeed share your beautiful life, your amazing selves. Thank you so much for being here. I love it. Good morning to you one more time. Amanda, Sarah, and Nathan, thank you for joining us. Please be safe, stay dry, and of course, I hope you have a day full of reading and enjoyment and laughter out in stormy Illinois. Thank you so much for joining in. Tanisha, Benjamin, how are you doing? Thank you so much for joining in. Appreciate you. Love to you, my sister. Thank you so much for joining us. Yes, indeed. Marietta, thank you so much for joining in. Yes, it is getting closer. Hopefully see you soon in person. Thank you so much for joining in. And of course, I hope that you have a wonderful day. Good luck with all your work today out there in Massachusetts. Sunny Massachusetts. Enjoy it. Thank you so much for being here. Again, one more time, I hope you enjoyed the story. I know you did. We'll read it again soon, but I hope that you enjoyed your breakfast. I hope that was the perfect book to go with your breakfast today. today. Thank you so much for joining in. Auntie Ann, good to see you. Auntie Pam, Braylon, and Chad, much love to you. Thank you so much for being here with us on Storytime. Jemison and April Booker, thank you so much for joining in. I hope that you have a lovely day out in Orange County. Thank you so much for being here. The Two Fridas was what we were reading today, and this is written from the memories of Frida Khalo and illustrations by GIANLUCA FOLI. And this one was being read with permission of the publishers, SCHIFFER Kids. Thank you so much for joining in. Please join me tomorrow when we're back for head-to-head 18 linked portraits of people who changed the world. And we'll select a few that we're going to read and focus on. And I hope you enjoy that one too. I hope that you leave this one inspired tomorrow. Thank you for being here. This has been Storytime for today. Please continue to share our Ride for a Reason. It is happening very, very soon, April 23rd. Please continue to share, spread the word, and indeed, let's continue to donate if you can, and of course, spread widely. And of course, this one is happening. I'm excited for it. We've already reached our goal. We've raised so much, and I hope that we continue to raise awareness for funding of public education. Yes, indeed, for those of you that are familiar with public education, you know that we need a lot more. We need field trips, we need so much more, and there are many problems, but some of them we can play our part and help out a little bit. Thank you so much for joining in today. I am absolutely thrilled that we're here together, and of course, enjoy these moments. It makes my day. I'm going into my day full of laughter, full of smiles. Partly thank you to being here with you all here on Storytime. I hope that you have a lovely day. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a lovely day wherever you are. And thank you for joining us. Yes, happy Wednesday to you too. Betty Graydon out in Florida. This has been Storytime. Much love, everybody. I'll see you again tomorrow for more Storytime. Bye-bye.
Story time with Mr. Lamada. He will be starting soon. Story time with Mr. Lamada, where all your dreams come true. Oh, he brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't live lonely, won't you start all the reading? We just can't wait to be hearing. Brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't live lonely, won't you start all the reading? We just can't wait to be